Hello. This video I'm going to cover drawing styles. So I've been meaning to I haven't really laid anything out. I'm just going to discuss it. So drawing styles and drawing processes. So what we'll do is the drawing process comes first. So let's have a look at the drawing process. So go to the output tab. I'm not really going to output any drawings or anything. I'm just going to discuss it. So just going to open it up here. I've just opened Advanced Steel, so I'll give it a second. So this is your drawing style manager. I guess we can maximize it. We have our palettes over here. I like to have my drawing styles one at the top because I like to open these two more. I use my drawing process and the templates more, and anytime we want to edit, we'll come into the drawing style manager. But generally, if you're using any of the drawing styles, it's going to be through the drawing processes, which I'll discuss in another video. So basically, you have drawing styles, which are the drawing styles here. You have the advanced ones, which are the out of the box ones, which generally you won't use any of these once you figure out what you're doing, which can take a couple of years. It took me a while anyway, so I still don't fully understand it. So then you have model objects. So if we go to the drawing styles first, you can see this is what's showing up on your palette. So you have engineering, which is generally 3D ones and stuff, or sorry, it's like your layout plans and 3D drawings, so it gives you a kind of mix. So you have another section here, which is your 3D ones. You can see these are the out of box ones, and these are the ones that I've created myself. Eventually, these I would just get rid of these, to be honest with you, because they're just kind of in the way. So you can just go in and delete these. Just make sure to do a normal delete. So what we'll do is, here's the GA details, and this one here is what I use for a general section. So this one here, so it's detail view ADM 330 seconds. So I've tried text 1.8 and I've tried text 1/16, and I've checked standards, and 330 seconds seems to be the sweet spot for text. So the odd time on a plan view, I'll have to use a 1/16, but 1/8 does appear to be too large. So it's up to yourselves what you like, I guess, or your clients. But that's kind of the sweet spot for me. So what we'll do is we'll go through the process. So there's model. If you go to model objects here, it's basically the parts that you're using. So if I click on parts without model role, there's beams. So these are what control your model roles. So the beams will be, if I pick this in my object presentation, the model object of beams without model role, it'll just give the beams with any model role will be affected in the object presentation. So you'll understand it a little bit better. But you can see there's a whole list here in model objects. Very important. You can come in here and create a new one also. And also you can see I have all these extra ones which I need to delete. So I can actually delete them. So you can see it's referenced by at least one drawing style. Please remove the link from the drawing first. So I've actually clicked on it there, so that's why it's referenced in the drawing, I think, because I don't believe I've used any of these. See, it's coming up. See, I'm not sure how you would delete it, because when you click on it to delete it, it now starts using it here. So there's got to be another way of deleting them. I haven't deleted them, any of them, so I'm not sure. So let's see, if I just scroll down, you can see it changes also. So let's try one of the other ones and we'll see. See, it won't let me because it's saying it's referenced. So I'll figure out a way to delete that. It's a little unusual. So this is your model object. So basically, if you go back to your drawing style, and if I go to this detail view, which is the one I use a lot, I click on it, there's a couple of different layers, right? But if you get down into the next layer, you can see object presentation. So the object presentation is controlled by the model objects, which we were just looking at. So most of them are in there already, but you'll want to add your own. Like I've added grout, you can see. So if I double click on this, you can see the model object is grout. And if I click over here, we can see that the model object is a plate. So what I do is I model in a plate and I chamfer it, and I set the behavior so it doesn't output as a part or on lists, and then I give it the model role grout. So then in turn I can have it come in on the drawing labeled as I want. So if we go back and see, the grout is just coming in with a grout label which I have created. And if you go down to the label section, click on this, we can see that the label it's going to come in with is the thickness of the plate, and then it just says non-shrink grout after it. So it'll automatically come in with that label with. Now I want to change this. I shouldn't really have these two. I don't want it along the item. So I'll turn that off. It's got a leader line. Okay, yes. Apply. So you can see when I change that, you can see now I never click this, don't ask anymore, because I like to see what's happening. So this is basically telling you you're affecting another drawing style, which is fine because I want it to behave the same way in the other drawing style, so I'm okay with that. So I'll just turn it off again. Okay. So what you have then, we'll go back to the top. So back at the top we have the view arrangement. So this is the type of view it is. It's a detailed view, and you can see here it's only one view, so it's coming in with one view. So like if you do a single part beam or something like that, if you click on the single part beam and let's pick this one here, you can see there's 3 views. So it's going to come in with a top view, a front view, and the bottom view. So we'll go back to the one we were just looking at. So I'm in my detail view, ADM 330 seconds. So you have the detail title. So the detail title is the next box. I always want it below the detail, and you want to have something like this. Now it is very useful to put the note in here. So the note is used with this token here, others, and that will, whatever you put in the camera description will pop in here where you have note written, and then the scale below. So I like to underline whatever the text is, and I generally don't underline the scale. So that's your second box, and then your cut view title. If it comes in with any cut views, this is what it's going to come in starting as, and it's going to be below the cut view. So it's all kind of self-explanatory. Model objects selected. So this doesn't really matter because I usually have it attached to a camera. So it's a detail box with the XREFs. I don't use XREFs generally, so that doesn't really matter. It's not a single part, it's not an assembly. So it's an overview drawn. Now I could have some of these other ones selected and it would still probably work the same, but that's kind of the way it's set up, right? So it says here, these are settings concerning the selection of the objects that will be deleted, or sorry, detailed using the style. So it tells you down here. So basically we've already gone through this, the main part of this. So if I close this down, we can see that we can now click on this view, so which is this one here. So if I click on this, it's going to open it up, and I can always maximize it there. So you can either access it from over here or over here. There's 2 ways to access it. So I'm in it there now, the view definition. So you can see it's one I created myself. If you want to create one yourself, go here. If you want to rename it, click here, and it'll allow you to rename it. Here you can see the view direction. You can come in and create a new view direction if you want. So this one is going to be in the UCS with the XY selection, and it's going to be 2 to the front and 2 to the rear. Now I have attached these to cameras, so I control them. The camera overrides these settings, so they're not really that important anymore, because I don't think anyone is creating views without using cameras. Next one, object presentation and labeling. So this is your object presentation, which I clicked on down here before. So here, and then you have your view dimensions. So you can get into them several different ways, right? So what we'll do is, we won't go into these yet. So what we'll do is we'll go back here, the view properties. So this view is automatically going to come in as 1.5 by 1 unless otherwise directed. So in your camera you can also override this. Scale in the process can override, so the scale is set in the process. And choose a choice of view always, and view arrangements automatic, cuts. So these you don't really need to concern yourself. Obviously you need to have the scale right. If you're copying another one, these settings are probably going to be right. Clipping properties, the clipping is off for a detailed view. I don't want any clipping in the detailed view, so that's fine. We don't need to concern ourselves here. Compass position, we don't need a we just need the overview compass, which is in the top left corner. And this one here is for beams, for assembly drawings. Assign categories, this is where it will show up. So I have it shown up in my own folder and also in the GA details folder. So now we've gone through that. So the view direction and model box is here, so we can access it there. Object presentations, which is important, is here, and then view dimensions is here. Now view dimensions is the most difficult part in my opinion. So we can see out of the box here, this is object presentation. This is kind of the most important thing for most people, and you can set up your system to like 80% of what you need just using this. So what you're going to see is you have stiffeners here, flange plates. These are ones I've added. So generally when your system is set up, you're going to have main part beams like this, side width. So a lot of times main part beam side width will control a column if you're looking down, let's say, or it'll control a beam if you're looking in from the side. Now when it's a main part, your model will have to be numbered. So if you haven't numbered your model, your beams are going to be controlled by these beams, the ones that aren't main parts, because they're not numbered. So your system doesn't know whether it's a main part or what is it. It doesn't know before you number it. So if I double click on this, you can see it also shows you the direction. So it shows you the model objects. So if I click on this, we can see beams, all model roles. Alright, so any beam at all, it's going to use this if it hasn't previously used it. So what happens is the system will start at number 1 and work its way down. That's why they're numbered. So this beam will get hit before this beam. So let's see what we have up above here. We have angles. So an angle is a beam. So if I didn't have these two in here, so if I didn't have this one in here, it would be controlled by this one. But I put this in because I want my angles to be labeled differently. So these are actually single part angles, sorry. So it's going to be in relation to this one down here. So I just want them labeled slightly different. I want some different control on them. So generally in plan views, this is a detail view. So I don't know what direction I'm looking in from, but in a plan view, I would want to, you can see, let's see if I go to my plan view, right? So let's close this one for a second. And let's go to plans, and let's go to my plan view, which is 3/32. And there should be one labeled column in here, which there should be out of box, to be fair, and they don't give you one out of box. So let's see, column. So you can see I've added a column. So after I number main part column, side width, it'll be controlled before this one. So the column will get this label with a leader line, and the beam will get one without a leader line. So it'll just have the label above the beam. Now, if you get into this a little, so basically we'll go back to the other one and I'll just dive in quickly in a little bit further just to give you a little better understanding. But we can see here, we'll click on something that's used a lot. So main part beam top. I don't have a main part beam all there, but I'll do main part beam front length. So you can see it shows you what way it's looking in. If it's a beam, it's going to be looking this way. This is not a plate, but let's say a flat bar would be regarded as a beam. The presentation rule is it's going to come up as visible hidden. So I'm going to see visible lines and hidden lines. You can change this. There's a variety of things you can choose in there. And presentation. See, don't concern yourself with these. Here you can show the compass marks for beams and 3D views if you want. And here's your labeling. So your labeling is in here. And just be careful, if you're creating a new label, you have to create one here and then rename it. But then you also need to create one down here. Don't forget to do the second one, or all you're going to do is change labels in other drawings by mistake. So you need to add a new one here and a new one here on these two levels. So basically, like if I change this in here, that's changing what this is. So I want to leave this the same. This is going to be the same. If I want to create a new one of this, I need to create a new one of this. So just be wary of that, because that's where you can make mistakes. You can see down here, the arrangement strategies, they don't work great for me, to be honest. I've been having a hard time locking that in. I probably need a bit of training in that myself. So as you can see, I have copies here, which are mistaken copies. But this is from me playing around in the system. So you can go in here and you can create new ones. It's telling me I'm modifying it. I'm going to cancel. So labeling strategies. So if we go back down a level, or back up a level, I should say, we go to view dimensions. So this drawing, this is the view dimensions it's using. And I'm actually in a detailed view, and it's using dimension strategy of an assembly, which is probably more to do with me messing around in here. That's probably not the best one to use. Interesting. So this is one for an assembly. This should not be what I have here on my detail, right? So, but you can kind of get the idea. So you can create a new one here if you want. So click here, you can create a new strategy. So these are quite confusing, I find. So what we'll do is linear ordinate. So main part in the X direction. So if we double click on that, so the X direction is the X direction, so it's across the page. And then it's basically saying in here, this is just the basics now. I don't really understand this fully, so don't take my word on this. This is my view on things. So it's the main part, the bottom. So it starts on the bottom, and it's the holes, and it's, so you can see here it tells you model objects, holes, bolts and holes, any depth, all points that define object features. So you can see there's a whole slew of things in here, and it is difficult to understand. You can see down here, dimension lines must not overlap, arrange dimension lines above and below, so you can see there's all different settings here. I wouldn't concern yourself with these just yet. I think this is something for a couple of years down the line. If you've been using the software for a while, it's something that I'm hoping to maybe get some training on at some point, maybe. Generally, the assemblies are coming in pretty good, and the single parts are coming in pretty good, and generally I put in the dimensions on most drawings myself, because you have to check them to make sure they're there anyway, I feel. So it doesn't take me that much longer to put them in. I don't do huge projects, so it's you know, it would obviously concern somebody that does bigger jobs than I do. But that's kind of how these drawing styles work. And you can see, you can also click on, you know, model objects here. You can check all the model objects. You can go to your labeling strategies. So that's the different labeling strategies. And then the dimension requests is down here, and the different types of dimension requests for beams, for stairs. So the most important thing is going to be for you is to be able to create new drawings. I have other videos on that, or sorry, drawing styles I should say. So basically come into your drawing style, right click and copy, not deep copy, just copy. Rename it, then you're going to go to the next level. So let's say I've just created this, it would have the same name as this. I want to go in here into my view definition, and then I will want to create a new view definition, name not the same as the first one. So basically, let me go through it actually. So I'll just do it, copy, and I have done this in other videos, but it'll just give you a better idea, I guess. So I'll just call it test. Okay. So now what happens is it's creating a new one here, but you can see the first level down, the detail view, so the view definition is the same as this one. So if I go in and edit this, it's going to also edit this one. So this is why we want to create a new one here also. So it'll automatically come in with copy of, and then I'll just go in here and do test again. Okay. So now you've gone down another level. So just always remember there's 2 levels here. 3 levels. So you want to go to object presentation. Now really, this is for like intermediate, beginner intermediate, and not expert levels. But you want to go to object presentation, and you want to create a new one in object presentation also. And now you're pretty well covered, right? Now the only thing is, if you're an expert, or if you know more than I know, because I'm certainly not an expert, if you come in here, your view definitions, you also need to create a new view definition. So there's 4 levels really. You really don't want to mess with this level, because your assemblies and your single parts will come in pretty good out of the box with not with labels, but with dimensions. Just be careful with your dimensions. So you can create a new one the same way there. I'm going to cancel out that. I'm not going to create a new one. So basically I've created a whole new drawing style, which is the same as this other one now because I just copied them, but I can edit it and it's not going to affect this. So what I can do now is I can go into object presentation here, and I can change all these. You know, I can come in here and go, oh no, I don't want this to be grout anymore. Maybe I don't want the grout to show up with a label, so then go to others and come here and turn it off. Or maybe I don't want the hidden lines, so we'll come in here and just go to visible. Now you can turn on system lines, all that. So let's see, so we'll turn on, no, sorry, I want to do visible just. So we'll just do visible there. I'm not going to output any drawings, so it's not really going to matter, but it's just showing you. Depth position, generally I don't change. I don't really need to, only if you're getting kind of fancy, I'd say. So the likes of beams, you can see my beams here. So the beams with side width, I have them come in with visible exact. So you can see the section cut through the column, let's say, for instance, or the beam. But when you're looking from the top or the front, you don't want to have it exact, because it's going to show you a load of lines where the radius is inside the beam, where the flange meets the web. So generally side width will be visible exact system, because I like the system line to snap to it. Not always visibly pleasing, so you can turn it off by double clicking on it. So generally out of the box, most things come in not great with labels, so you'll have to go in and create all your own labels and create your own text size and all that. Once you do all this, you're going to be pretty good. Your system will be acceptable. You know, I feel like your stress levels will go down. So I guess that's kind of it. So as you can see, I've a lot in here. These are, I use these I try to number most of my projects now. They're fairly small projects before I output drawings, so I don't have to update them with the numbers. And then there's also, I have this one set for pre-numbering, so this is slightly different. So it'll come in with my labels a little better if I don't have it numbered already. So a lot of them don't call for, they just call for the section name. You can see section name with leader line. These ones up here need to be changed yet, but they're main part beams, so they're not being affected in this if it's not numbered. So you can see any of the ones for beams down here are just section name. They're not calling out the mark or the single part mark. So that's it. I feel like maybe that'll help people understand a little better, or maybe it won't. Maybe I've confused it even more for you, but I hope that helps. Some feedback would be appreciated. And mostly your single parts should come out pretty good in drawings, and your assemblies you might need to add 1 or 2 dimensions, but I feel like everyone should go into all the drawings anyway and check them. So if it takes you a couple hours, that's what you got to do. All right, take care.